call the September, are we ready, I hope? Good. We're ready. I'll call the committee meeting portion of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission meeting to order for September 15. Brother Cox, would you mind opening us up with the invocation?
His family, and give them peace and strength, and all others that are ill today, give them the touch of your love and healing. We ask these things in Jesus' name. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Cox, thank you so much. Ms. Dannette, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Bill Cox. Here. Kurt Holbert. Connie King. Here. Jeff McMillan. Here. Jim Ripley. Here. Bill Swan. Trey Teague. Here. David Watson. Here. Jamie Woodson. Here. Harold Cannon. Here. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Again, welcome everyone to today's meeting. This is the committee portion of our commission meetings, and let me explain how this will be handled. But before I do that, I'm looking at my notes finally for a change. We have special guests that want to say a few words. Seth Sumner, who's Assistant City Manager of Savannah. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, and that's exactly what I'm here for, just to welcome the commission, agents, officers, and guests to Savannah and Hardin County. We're so happy that you're here with us for these next couple of days. We want y'all to have fun, and I would tell you roads to kind of stay away from and to watch your speed limit on, but we really like having guests, and we want you to come back. So we don't really have those areas in Hardin County. We'd like for you to come and play, have fun, spend your money here, and enjoy this, and come back and see us. But we hope that you have a fruitful time here in Hardin County with your meeting, and that God's blessing is with you as you conduct your business. Thank you.
Seth, thank you so much. It's been a remarkable welcome that y'all have laid out. Commissioner Teague wanted me to point out you've got a really good-looking tie today, and it should be noted that Seth is from East Tennessee, so he's trying to do some encouragement along the orange lines in this neck of the woods. So, there you go. Thank you, sir. Committee Day. We've changed up the format just a little bit. Very minor changes, but important ones. I will be turning over the meeting to specific committee chairs for the items that are coming up. There will be a discussion. Once the presentation is made, there will be a discussion within the committee, after which the chair will ask for comments from the public. And then the committee will decide what recommendation they want to bring forward, if any, to the commission, and we'll discuss that tomorrow's commission meeting. This is not an opportunity where the entire commission will be discussing the matter. Only those commissioners that are on that specific committee. And so in the past, I think there's been an assumption that whatever is decided today is a done deal. In fact, please don't consider it that way. If you have a matter that's near and dear to your heart, I encourage you to be here tomorrow for when the matter will be considered by the full commission. If you have questions, we would ask that you direct that to the committee chair and not to staff. If you have some comments that you want to make, generally speaking, we want to limit those comments to 5 minutes. We reserve the right to reduce that time if there are a number of people who want to speak, or if candidly it seems to be repetitive. So we ask you to keep your comments brief, concise, and as respectful as you expect our comments to be back to you. And so far, it's been a great year from that standpoint. I would ask that, folks, if you have cell phones here, if you would put them on silent or turn them off in general, that is a great help. I'm going to check mine in just a second. I have a tendency to be the greatest of sinners at these meetings. Commissioners, are there any other announcements we need to make? I see Commissioner Swan, I believe you wanted to make a brief announcement about a certain volunteer in Hunter Ed. Good morning.
Sorry, I was sitting here reading the minutes. Well, one brief announcement I'd like to make is my grandson was just selected as Cabela's Young Hunter of the Year for, I guess, not only the United States, but for the world. So I just found out yesterday on the way over here. And Harold, I forgot what the other, I wanted to make an announcement at the last meeting, and it doesn't come to mind. Do you remember what it was?
I believe it had to do with the Volunteer of the Year related to hunter safety. Does that ring a bell?
Volunteer of the Year, Hunter Safety.
Oh, yeah, and my son was selected as Region 3 Volunteer of the Year. He's a hunter safety instructor, boating, and trapping instructor.
Commissioner.
So those are my announcements. Thank you.
Mr. Swan, you got a lot to be proud of. Congratulations to both of them. Commissioner Cox, I believe you want to do the letter today or tomorrow? All right, sir.
There was a fishing tournament, catfish tournament on Mississippi River last weekend, and 186 boats caught 452 fish, I think 4,900 pounds. And out of all those fish, I think they told me there was 6 or 8, maybe 10 fish that were lost, which is pretty phenomenal. But I've got a letter from Bill Dance to Ed Carter, Executive Director of Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. Hey Ed, hope all is well and you're doing fine. Just a short cast to thank you for all your support this past Saturday at Memphis during the biggest catfish tournament ever held out of the Bluff City. There were 186 teams that participated from Colorado, Florida, Minnesota, Montana, Texas, and North Carolina, with over 4,900 pounds of fish caught and weighed in. A total of 349 fish, and only 10 fish were lost. Those 10 were brought to the scales dead. Your crew did a fantastic job, were very polite and courteous and helpful as could be. You couldn't be more proud of them, Ed. They were a hit of the weigh-in. I heard many great comments about the fine job they did. They truly are professionals, and we thank you again for sitting them down and allowing TWRA to be part of this event. It truly was a big hit, and the agency received a tremendous amount of exposure. Until our lines cross again, catch one for me, my friend. Thanks, Bill Dance. So I appreciate the guys going down. Everybody was impressed. Tim Broadbent brought 6 vehicles and tanks, and they handled the fish. It was, they hadn't done that, they'd probably lost 200 fish. But I really appreciate what they did, and all the fishermen bragged on them, so thank you very much. It was great public relations. And Alan, thank you very much.
Commissioner Cox, thank you. Our Region 4 folks, thank you. Region 1 folks, excuse me, thank you so much. I get the TDOT regions and our regions, I don't know why they did them backwards, but anyway, you also know how thick-headed I am too. Well done, folks, very, very well done. Are there any other announcements from the commissioner or any comments before we get started with committee meetings? Director Carter, have you got any thoughts or comments?
No, sir, thank you.
With that, Chair recognizes Trey Teague, the Chair of Wildlife Management Committee. Commissioner Teague, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chairman Cannon. This time I'd like to introduce Mark Goodwin, Chief Wildlife and Forestry Division, to discuss our dove fields.
Good afternoon. It is customary at the September Commission meeting for the Wildlife Division to give an update on the dove season opener. Dove season opener is the second of our fall seasons that open. The first one would be squirrel season, which opens on the fourth Saturday in August, and dove season, which opens always at noon on September 1st. And even though the dove season is 90 days long, about 90% of our hunter activity and harvest typically occurs by the end of the second weekend of dove season. And we have offered, the agency offers fields on many of our wildlife management areas. In addition, we look for opportunities to lease the hunting rights from private individuals in our dove lease field program. And these are results here. They're actually, things are pretty similar to most of our previous years. You can see an even spread of fields across the region. Region 4, we always have a little more difficulty. There's a lot less agricultural land, more forested land, and kind of steep topography, so oftentimes a little more difficult to find a place for a good dove field there, but otherwise an even spread. And Region 1 this year just had difficulty. Typically they have several leased fields, but just could not find a willing landowner to lease it from that had a good number of doves on the field. In order to try to help ensure that we have good success on our fields, we try to wait, as late as possible. Officers, a biologist checking the field and trying to see if there's a buildup of doves there before we actually get a contract signed and lease the field. We did have several youth hunts. As you can see, there are also 11 fields out of the total of the 82 fields, which is a pretty typical number for fields that we offer. About a third of those will be the leased fields and 2/3 being our wildlife management area fields. And below, if you can see there the blue dots designating the distribution of our leased fields and the red dots showing our wildlife management area field locations. We try our best to advertise, and I think we do a really good job with this. Our IT division and all the field staff that get the information to us so it can be posted on the web in a timely manner. And as you navigate to the dove field page and where the dove field information is, you can click on the region and look at either the wildlife management area fields or the leased fields, and then look at specific information on those fields, the type of crops planted, the hunt dates, directions to get to the field, including GPS coordinates for those that have a unit and can plug in the coordinates. Tells you what permits are required to hunt those fields, and also then actually click on Google Map directions. So it's really pretty easy for our hunters to find out where the dove hunting opportunities are on the public lands and to be able to navigate to those fields. We have a distribution of various crop types that we have on our dove fields. We have sunflower fields, wheat fields, corn and millet, and on some of the crop fields we also may overseed cover crop and winter wheat on also. And in looking at the hunting success from one crop type to another, fairly consistent, and as you'll note, any of those crop types had some really good hunts on it on the high range, and also had some bust fields on the low end range, with the average hunter success being in doves per hunter really not varying too much from one crop type to another. In fact, millet was in general our best dove hunter success at 5 birds per hunter. And here you can see the numbers by regions on the doves harvested, the number of hunters, and the average doves per hunter that were taken. These numbers are not a complete count of all the hunts on these fields. A lot of personnel are involved with working the field, so often the first day that the hunt was being held, or on Labor Day, or on a special weekend day, then we may have gotten those hunter numbers and figures. For our leased fields, most of those are leased for 3 days. Typically, it's just the first day. Maybe some of the fields had had 2 or maybe even 3 days monitored, but most of these are just one. So you can see that's the minimum number of hunters and dove harvest that's indicated on this slide. Our best success this year, as it was last year, was on the bookends of the state in Region 1 and in Region 4. 4.1 doves per hunter in Region 1 and 4.8 in Region 4. So even though they had fewer fields, had some really good hunts there in Region 4. We have $100,000 that are allocated to the leased dove fields, and here you can see the cost broken up by region also. We weren't able to expend all of it. Sometimes it's just hard to find, again, those good situations out there of landowners that are willing to lease the dove hunting rights and those that have birds there that we can expect a decent hunt on. With that, I'll be glad to answer any other questions I can about the dove hunting.
Shot year in, year out.
That could also be part
And
of
what
it.
is
yeah.
wrong with Region 2 is what I want to know.
And it varied. The hunter success will vary quite a bit from one region to another. There's a lot that ties into it, where the fields are on the landscape, what crops may be harvested nearby that may draw off the birds or not. And again, there's that variation from year to year on dove hunting success in the region.
Mark, do you have the breakdown between, of the hunter success between spring planted fields and fall fields, cornfields, whatever? I'm guessing the millet was a spring plant. And the wheat. and
On
corn was
those, I
not.
don't think we actually contracted. They had already planted that for a hay field, and so we didn't plan that field with them ahead of time. We rented it as a leased field, a fall lease.
It just seems to me that for planning, advertising, and for results, leasing a spring field for wheat or millet or whatever, sunflowers from a farmer in the spring would be a much better program. And we've talked about this before, and I'd suggest and ask that the agency take a look at that. I believe that's a much better plan. Because you go try to lease a field and the doves, a cut corn field, they may be here today and not tomorrow. Of course, that's cool with any of them, but if you got a sunflower field and you cut the sunflowers right before the season, they're gonna probably have a pretty good shoot.
Yeah,
Like
we're
the private sector does dove fields and things like that, so.
we're going to look at the whole leasing situation. We're actually only one of 6 states in the southeast that are leasing dove fields, and us in Kentucky and Alabama have the most number of fields that we lease. We could not find people that were interested in the spring lease, and our current rate on it is $225 an acre, and that's about what it costs to plant an acre sun field. So we would probably need to significantly raise the cost, which again will be less money. Or potentially less fields, but that is something that we'll look at
I would
as a
think you'd have
possibility.
fewer fields that are better, they'd be shot for more days and you'd have better results than even if you had to pay twice the money. Region 1 didn't find a field with a dove on it. So or chose not to and went to the WMA. So I just think leasing them in the fall is just not a good, 2 or 3 doves per person is just not very good.
Yeah, it's also more manpower intensive. You have to do a lot more checking, make sure the landowner's complying. But again, those things can be overcome, and ultimately, we're looking for the best way that we can provide. Give the best assurance we can of a successful dove field. But again, getting back to the crop types, it's just not any certain guarantee that any one crop's going to be better than another. So some of it's just the luck and how the birds locally raised or where they're headed to at that particular moment. But we will look at the dove field lease program and see if there are any other alternatives, and including more incentives and how to get more people signing up for the spring lease field options also. Mr. Chairman, then, if there are no other questions on dove, I can go into the proclamation if you would like.
Anybody else Comments, questions? Go ahead, please.
Second item on the, well, where'd that go? On the Wildlife Management Committee, Proclamation 16-49, Buffalo Ridge Refuge Special Hunting Seasons. At the last commission meeting, we proclaimed the Buffalo Ridge Refuge, which is 1,813 acres in Humphreys County, just south of I-40 and along the Buffalo River. And it's also known facility there at Tom and Wendy Beasley Wildlife Outreach and Special Events Center. And because we just proclaimed it last month, we needed a proclamation to declare the special hunts that will be held there this year. October 29th will be a youth deer hunt. We also have a ladies deer hunt in November, a 3-day hunt, and another 3-day hunt in December for the wounded soldier deer hunt. And that will be the focus of this refuge is these types of special hunts. And again, and we will, when we set the seasons next year, these hunts will be in the wildlife management area and refuges proclamation. So at that time, we will repeal this proclamation but because of that short time when we just proclaimed it and needing to get those hunts on the books so we can conduct them is why we had a special proclamation here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend Proclamation 16-49.
I have a motion and a second for Proclamation 16-49. Is there any comments from the committee? Any go ahead.
Mark, how many acres total is both of those? Or is it all one unit, 1,800 and something acres?
It's 1,813 acres
Okay.
in total, and there's 2 accesses off of highway there, Highway 13, I think it is. Can't remember if it was 2 tracks with a little bit of separation between the 2 or if it was contiguous.
Any more comments from the committee? How about from the audience? There's no further comments. All in favor? Passage of Proclamation 16-49. Aye. All opposed? Proclamation passes committee.
That ends it for her.
If there's no more comments or announcements from the committee, that adjourns Wildlife Management Committee today.
Thank you, Chairman Teague. One quick sidebar. Alan, I don't know where Alan is. There he is. Alan, let me just sing your staff's praises for the dove fields that they worked on this year. I spent some time on opening day of dove season. Everybody had a great day, it appeared, in spite of some of the weather conditions that made the birds spread. And the officers were very patient with this guy tagging along with them. So thank you to your staff. Thank you to law enforcement. It was good to be out there with them. Really appreciate it. I'm afraid he drew the short straw, unfortunately, by having to put up with me, but it was a real privilege to be with him. The commission recognizes Jim Bledsoe, Chair of the Fisheries Management Committee. Commissioner Bledsoe, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chairman Cannon. Fisheries Management Committee would like to recognize Frank Fisk, Chief of the Fisheries Division. Talk about the taking of fishing turtles.
Thank you, Chairman. Hope I can be as motivational as our speaker next door here. So get going. If I can. Okay, last month we discussed the commercial taking of fish and turtles proclamation, and what I'll be presenting today has no changes to what you heard last month. But the first change is that in section 3 that we add this language to say that paddlefish can only be checked a total of 2 times per paddlefish season, so we don't have fish getting sampled multiple times for eggs. Another correction we wanted to make to the proclamation was to add the words "or greater" to the general provisions section to make it clear that on the Mississippi River, gill nets that are 5 inches or greater bar mesh are legal. An addition to the commercial proclamation is that we will be allowing a minnow trap for the commercial gear type. And these will be a variety of styles, but generally 2 types of traps. One will be a funnel trap, which would have a 1 to 2.5 inch opening at the tight end of the funnel. And then there's vertical traps where the fish, as you can see on the right there, the fish go in those K slots, they're called, or K traps. And those slots would be required to be between 1/2 and 1.5 inches. Here's just the written language that says that. And these traps will be marked with floats like all commercial gear. And that concludes the proclamation. Suggested changes to the commercial fishing proclamation.
Thank you, Frank. Any questions from the Fisheries Committee about Proclamation 16-41, taking of fish and turtles? Hearing none, any from the audience? Mr. Kelly, please step up there. And we all know you, but you can tell us for the record.
Kelly, involved in commercial fishing. Just have a request of the information, a copy of the information. He went through it so fast I couldn't really read what it said. Just a request of the information.
We can see Kelly gets that. So.
Yeah, we can send him the red line and the final copy of the proclamation, yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Hearing none. Do I hear a motion on Proclamation 16-41? Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Frank. Next.
Okay. Again, last month we previewed the commercial mussel proclamation, and there are no changes from what we heard last month. Basically, we're just making 5 minor edits to the descriptions of the boundaries of closed areas that are off limits to mussel taking. These areas have been closed for many years. We just need to update the river mile markers to be correct with the more accurate mapping that's available today. And I'll just run through them. The 5 places are on, one's on the Powell River at Powell River mile 54.7. Another one on the Clinch River at Clinch River 151.9. On the Cumberland River at Cumberland River 262.9. And again on the Cumberland River at 292.4. Now this last change is a little longer because we had to, the earlier proclamation, or the existing proclamation, says that it includes a piece of North Carolina, and we don't have the authority to manage North Carolina. So we've rewritten the boundaries to include only those areas that are in the state of Tennessee. And that concludes the recommended changes to the commercial mussel proclamation.
Just for clarification, the boundaries weren't really moved. It was just
Exactly.
It just clarified with the new technology where they're at.
Correct.
So
our malacologists that work on these discovered these discrepancies and brought them to our attention, so we told them we would bring them to the commission.
Any questions from the Fisheries Committee on Proclamation 1642? Any from the audience? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve Proclamation 1642.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker. Connie seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.